Welcome to Sports Talk with Ninja and JMO, where you get all the sports knowledge you need. All right, it's time for some more Sports Talk with JMO. What's up, JMO? How's it going?
What's up? What's up? What's up? I love how I just keep proven right time after time again. As we all saw last night, the Milwaukee Bucks won, so it looks like Phoenix Suns are going to win in 5, as I predicted.
No, you're wrong. Because the Bucks figured it out and they shut them down. That's why the Bucks won for like 20 points.
Oh yeah, I tell you, it was interesting to watch how well they played at home. They did play well at home. I'll give them that. But I honestly think that Phoenix wants to win it in Phoenix. It's the game. Game 4 is going to be interesting. If Phoenix goes in there and dog walks them like they did the first 2 games, it's over. But if they tie it up, it could be interesting.
I agree with you. If that happens, it is over. If it gets 3-1, you're right. It might go to 6 games, but that'd be stretching it. But I think the Bucks are going to win the next one. I think it's going to be 2-2.
But come on, did you watch the game?
I unfortunately did not watch the game. I was in a sports island this weekend where I got to watch no sports.
Let me tell you, the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they ate their Wheaties yesterday morning. I think they kissed the right amount of genies when they got up out of bed. I think they said the right amount of Hail Marys, however you are at making good outcomes for yourself. They did it in every fashion. They could not miss to save their lives. They were accidentally hitting shots last night. It was crazy. Like, they haven't played as good as they did last night in the playoffs, I don't think. It was crazy to watch how the first 2 games, they just seemed all out of whack, seemed like they didn't care, seemed like there was no way that it was even going to be a series. And then last night they came out like a team that was ready to win, and they played like it.
Well, that's them. They sat down, they made their adjustments, they knew they were at home, and now they're going to come back and win the next 4.
Well, they could have made their adjustments in game 2, so I don't really believe that's what happened. I think they ate their Wheaties yesterday morning, and I don't see them hitting like that. Like, seriously, like, Porter was hitting stupid stuff. Like, it was like over the backboard, fade away, turn around to the corner, accidentally going in. Yeah, it was crazy last night. They couldn't miss nothing.
I don't know. Didn't they go down like 2-0 in almost every series?
Almost, yeah.
Like, this is how they play. They need 2 games to remember they're in a game.
Well, and I think that the injuries getting better. I think that has a lot to do with it too. I think when your star player is gimpy, and then all of a sudden he's starting to feel himself, he's starting to get the groove, he's starting to get his rhythm back. I think that does make a big difference.
And that's why I still think it's going to be the Suns in 7.
It's going to be Phoenix in 5 still. I don't think it's going to matter.
Well, we'll find out.
Phoenix wants to win. I think they were going to win one of these 2 games because I don't see the Phoenix, especially since it's been so long since they've won a championship. I don't think they would want to win in Milwaukee. I think they wanted to win in front of their home fans. Game 5 will be the wrap up of the season.
Well, we'll find out. Was the next game tomorrow, or is it
I think so, yeah.
Wednesday?
It's not.
All right. Well, we'll have to do a show on Thursday and see who's right.
Really.
Even
see if I'm still right.
See, it'd be a short one. One of us laughing at the other one. That'd be the whole show. I got one story I wanted to cover real quick. We didn't talk about it beforehand because I forgot about it. But it didn't bother me. But it affected me a little bit. Did you hear about the Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, I just wanted to take a moment and as a wrestling fan, take a moment and thank him for everything he did and wish his family the best as he died. I mean, he made 71, so it's not like he was cut short or anything, but still, he made wrestling, was one of the early wrestlers that really made wrestling. Like,
yeah, and for those that follow him and follow, you know, he was having some health issues, but he actually had overcame them all, and it seemed like he was on path to get back on track, and he was doing well, and then all of a sudden now this happened. So it was definitely a shock to the wrestling community. As you know, I'm a wrestler, so it's definitely a shock to a lot of us that do have a following behind him, and so
Yeah.
It was definitely took us all by surprise.
Yeah, because if there's no Paul Orndorff, there's no Mr. Perfect, there's no Lex Luger, there's no Hulk
There's
Hogan,
no Hulk Hogan. What do
there's
you
no
mean?
Hulk. I was getting there. I was working my way backwards. There's no Hulk Hogan. Him, Paul Orndorff, and Briscoe, they built it.
Growing up during the Hulkamania era, like there was no Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Like, you
So
hated the guy. You hated the guy. He did his job well.
yeah. So okay, on to more devastatingly injury people. Did you see the clip of Conor McGregor?
I did. I saw the entire fight after the fact. I didn't watch it live, but I did see the entire fight after the fact, and I saw the post-fight interviews. And we need to talk about those. Because did you happen to see Conor McGregor's response immediately after the fight while he was sitting on the octagon floor and they got in his face and asked, did you hear his response when he was sitting on the mat?
I did.
To the point. Yeah, you don't bring another man's wife into this. You don't go personal with it. If you want to be mad at the fighter, you want to hate the fighter, you want to say he's a punk, you want to say he's for better lack of words, a bitch, do so. But come on. Don't, your wife's in my DMs, your wife's a whore, blah, blah. You don't do that in a post-fight interview. To me, that was just a desperate man laying on the apron trying to save what he could possibly have left. And I hated to see him. If that's it, I'd hate to see him go out that way. I really would.
Yeah, my thing is, and I'm not giving him a pass because you're right, 100%. You don't say those things. That's taken too far. And to my mind, he took it too far, even in the pre-conference before, saying he was going to kill him. Like that's not
right.
That's not what the fight game is. You don't try to kill. You try to hurt him, yes, you do, but you're not trying to kill anybody. And even Daniel Poirier at the end of the fight was saying, "I wish nothing best for this man to go home safe to his wonderful family." And then Conor McGregor popped off for that stupidness, but. Part of me wants to not give him a pass, but I give him a smidge of understanding. Is he got famous for trash talk, and he was always very controlled. He knew what he was saying. He really wasn't angry, and this person's actually made him angry. And the way that fight ended made him angry. And then he was sitting there in a ton of pain. So his normal brain that would kick in, like I can say this, but I can't say this, was. His filter was shot.
Right.
So he was just about anything he can because he wanted to keep fighting.
But like I said, though, I think that's what it is. I think it was a desperate man trying to grasp for straws, trying to save what he could possibly have left. Because in the grand scheme of things, as of right now, his career's over. It's done. Like now, if he's able to overcome this, he's going to have a rod. He's not going to be able to kick no more.
Oh yes, he will. Oh yes, no. They have perfected this surgery to a T. He will be able to kick and fight again.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Silva. Silva came back and he could still cook. He just didn't have a chin anymore. So they've actually gotten really good with the surgery. The leg will actually come back. It'll be stronger.
Right.
So he'll be able to kick again. I just don't know if he'll want to.
Lost this fight kind of puts him down the ladder now. Now, if they do make anything out of it, Daniel will go after the title, and if he wins the title, then that'll be the next big title fight. It'll be him versus McGregor.
Yeah, well,
comeback. But you're talking next year earliest. You're talking 6 months recovery probably.
And I'm going to hit you with something because I don't think you saw something that I did see. I watched the Dana White post UFC 264 interview, and I just watched the parts where they talked about Conor McGregor. Well, I didn't watch the whole thing. And he's already said it. As soon as Conor McGregor is healthy, he's giving him a rematch with Poirier. He goes.
Of course he is.
He said, "This isn't closure for them. Technically, Poirier won, but it still wasn't. It was no way to closure. Somebody needs to win
because McGregor's his cash cow. Of course he is.
Well, yeah.
That's like a boxing promoter turning down Mayweather. You wouldn't do it. Like, he's gonna bring you hundreds of millions of dollars for his fights. Like, of course he's gonna tell him he's got another chance. As long as he's a draw, Dana White will have him on a pay-per-view.
But he even said it probably before the title because Daniel Poirier's next fight will be the title fight. He's giving him the title fight. So He's going to get his title fight, and then it's going to be him and McGregor again. But honestly, I think there should be another one if McGregor's up for it because.
I agree. Especially now, like I'm sorry, like I don't care if you can whoop my ass or not. I don't care how big you are. You say those things about my wife, you're gonna have to prove it to me.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna be fighting. So
in my mind, Poirier was winning that fight, but McGregor's such a good striker, he could turn that around in a second.
Right. I think the first round, oddly enough, I think it was kind of even. Like I think McGregor had a couple nice shots. And then the guillotine would have. I think he went to it too early. I think he should have stood up. I don't think he should have tried going to the ground.
No, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I think he should have stayed up. If he'd have stayed up and tried to lock that guillotine in, I think he may have had a little bit more success and possibly even have choked him out. But he's too smart of a fighter to let that overcome him that early. Too much energy and too much momentum. So, like, I think that cost him. And then once he got on bottom, he was kind of playing defense from there. But overall, though, I think it was a pretty even first round.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have. I think the scorecard was probably pretty even.
It was. I would have scored it 10-9 in Poirier's favor just because of the takedown.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was pretty even. But you got to give somebody it, and I would have given the round to Poirier. But
you know it was since both fighters were saying they won it. So
yeah. But
I'm interested to get your opinion on this since we're talking about it. Why do you think Daniel is persisting and saying, he's already said it in 3 different post-fight interviews, that he checked one of McGregor's kicks and that broke his ankle?
Because that's because that's probably exactly what happened. And it didn't.
Yeah, but does it really matter if that's when it broke, or if he stood up, it just broke on his own? Like, does that really change the outcome of anything? He's pretty incisive, and the reason I'm asking is because I don't know. I'm kind of uneducated in the fact that I don't know. Like, would it make a difference for his TKO wise if he's the one that caused it, or if McGregor just did it himself?
Well, either way, McGregor did it himself because he was throwing the kick. Right. In the initial interview, he even said, the man was throwing hard kicks. He even gave him that credit. It makes a difference in his mind because of what McGregor's saying. McGregor's saying, you didn't cause this. This fight's not over. And then Poirier's like, I checked your kick. That's what caused this. So, yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of petty that as far as the records go and all the other stuff goes, no, it does not matter. It's a TKO either way, period. But if somebody keeps telling you, you didn't do nothing to me, you didn't hurt me, and you're like, I heard it crack when you hit me, homie. Yes, I did.
Yeah, right.
So that's going to be part of the petty trash talk back and forth, I'm sure, all the way up to the next fight.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which I can't remember in the history of MMA, UFC, boxing, any of the fightings where we had anybody fight each other 4 times. I can't think of one.
Yeah, no, the trilogy is usually the deciding factor in them because usually there's the winner or a loser in that third fight that kind of usually determines the outcome of their series.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock fought 4 times.
That was my first instinct was Tito Ortiz because I know he fought a lot.
They fought each other because they really, really didn't like each other, and they fought like on different promotions.
Was it him and who was that he fought over and over and over?
Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock, or who else?
Not Shamrock. What's his name? I want to say this, but I'm probably off, and I'm probably not right. I want to say maybe he was like Korean, maybe.
Are you talking about Tito Ortiz and somebody else, or Ken Shamrock and somebody?
Yeah, somebody else. Yeah, somebody else that was facing
Tito
Ortiz.
His other big rival was Chael Sonnen, and they went back and forth a whole bunch of times. But
yeah, I know they fought a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was more than 3 or not.
I don't think it was more than 3, and Tito Ortiz just beat the crap out of them. Like, It was never much of a fight. I don't know why they made it such a big deal. It was never much of a fight. They butted heads on one of the Tough Enough series. They were both coaches. And that's actually one of the things I liked about Tito Ortiz. If you go back and watch, especially the first season he did Tough Enough, it was one where he was on there with Ken Shamrock. What a good coach he is. a lot of the people they get on the show, the fighters, sometimes they're not very good coaches. The coaching staff they bring kind of does all the coaching. But Tito Ortiz was actually really good. He actually helped the team a lot, and he ended up winning too. Go figure. That was a good season too. I think that was the Forrest Griffin season with Stephen Boner. Oh, that was a good season. I wish they were still fighting. All right.
I will always and forever be a Chuck Liddell fan, though.
Chuck Liddell.
The Iceman in his prime was so fun to watch. I mean, he would hit you and dare you to stand back up. He wouldn't even get on top of you. He'd make you stand back up so he could punch you again. That was so fun to watch.
It was amazing. And my thing about him was he was always trying to knock you out. There was never any other game plan. If he could get you in a submission, he'd take it, but he wanted to knock, and he never wanted to go to the judges. He was fighting up until the last bell to get that win. He didn't like winning by the judges. I can't stand a fighter in any sport like, well, I want to wait. I'm going to survive. I'm going to win by points. No. And that's one of the reasons I like the UFC.
That kind of turned into Chuck Liddell's downfall, though, because he got so good at knocking guys out, he couldn't go the distance in fights. As he got older, he started getting blown up a little faster, and that's kind of when his career ended.
Well, there was more age and lack of training. I mean, there's a new heavyweight coming up, and I forget his name. He fought last night, and he knocked a guy out in like under a minute. I saw a clip from it, and I can't remember his name, but it was impressive. So, yeah, no, I love how the UFC gives you a bonus for knocking somebody out.
Right.
If you finish the fight, you get a bonus. So I like those kind of fights. And I love that Dana White's like, if you're a really boring fighter, I don't care if you win every fight, you're done.
Right.
Because that's not what they want. So I think that's one thing that keeps the UFC so good. But you had another bit of news that's about a sort of sport.
So here's the thing. So the Major League Baseball draft was last night. And there's a reason why it's not good television. And we can talk about that too, because you like to joke that it's not a real sport. Baseball actually is a real sport. It actually is the original American sport. But the reason that they like the MLB draft is so not for television is because a lot of those players you won't see for many years.
If you ever see it.
And then they get put in the farm leagues, and then they get put in the AAA leagues. And so by the time they actually make it to a roster, like you've done forgot who they are. Like, so that's the reason why it's not good television. But the number one overall draft pick last night, first time ever in the history of U of L, was Henry Davis from U of L, the catcher. Got drafted, number one overall, went to the Pirates. Yay! He signed an $8.4 million contract. Yay! So that's pretty exciting news.
Yay.
And it's, like I said, it's the first ever U of L baseball player to be drafted number one overall. So
there's so many bad jokes I want to make right now. I really do. But I'm going to behave because you apparently like baseball, and I don't know why.
I'm not a big baseball fan, but I'm a realist, and I understand why you feel the way you do. There's a lot of people that feel that way. And as I said, a lot of the reason why the draft is that way is because a lot of those guys you won't see for 5 to 10 years on a major league roster. And so that by that time, you don't forget who they are. And a lot of those kids, like, because then the difference between, like, college and difference between baseball and basketball, like, they have to go play basketball. So they become names that you're familiar with. So a lot of the kids in the draft last night are coming straight out of high school.
Yeah. Well, see, my problem with baseball, and this is where my problem with baseball actually comes down. It's not that it doesn't take a lot of skill, because it does. Not that it takes talent. Not that it's not athletic. It is all of those things. It's, especially on television. Going to a live game is not as bad, but especially on television, a game is just slow and boring to watch. And every time the MLB try to introduce rules that will speed up the game and actually make it more entertaining, they don't. The owners won't pass it. You know, they won't put in the pitch clock. They won't do all the things that would actually make it better. I don't feel like watching a pitcher scratch his balls, and I don't mean the baseball, for 10 minutes between each pitch. There should be a timer. There should be something like a shot clock, something to keep the game flowing. There was a baseball game that was 9 innings that went 4.5 hours. That's just ridiculous. And every time they try to do something to make it better, again, the owners won't pass it. It doesn't get past the rules board, and it's just going to continue to be the slowest game with the highest paid players.
I get it.
So if they were to speed up the game and maybe say, hey, you can't touch your balls more than once a game, I'd be okay. Oh, did you see the clip? I had it over here. It was about baseball. It was what you were talking about baseball. What made me think about it. About the pitcher that they checked like 4 times in the same game for.
Yeah.
I get they're cracking down, but really after the second time you check the same player, isn't it time to stop? He ain't got anything. Maybe he's just a good pitcher. Crazy thought. Maybe he's just good. Just throwing out there. He ended up getting the opposing coach thrown out. I thought that was awesome. All right. So, is there anything else you want to cover besides how the Bucks are going to return and make it a series?
Has anybody heard anything about Aaron Rodgers? What's the update with Aaron Rodgers? Does anybody in America know?
He's playing golf with Tom Brady. That's what we know.
The poor diva quarterback of Green Bay has kind of went silent, and nobody really knows what's going on there. I'm kind of curious. Inquiring minds are wanting to know what he's going to do.
No, nobody knows if he's going to play. Nobody knows. I think he showed up for some preseason stuff, just the practice of the OTAs and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, nobody knows. You know what I want though?
What's that?
Football related. I want the Washington football team to pick a name.
Right. The football team isn't a name? What do you mean?
It was a placeholder, so they had a vote and picked a name, and they can't decide.
Well, the problem is, in today's society, you have to be so politically correct with everything. I think it was kind of funny, actually. I think it was kind of the owner's way to say, you know what, screw you people. If y'all want to make a big deal about this, we'll just call ourselves the football team. I honestly think it was a joke on their part, and they did it on purpose.
Well, they did, but the joke was good, awesome. They go ahead and pick a name. And here's my thing. I'm not a big politically correct person.
Right.
But I understood why people didn't like that specific name. Because if you notice, people are kind of saying stuff about the Atlanta Braves. They're not making that big of a deal, and Atlanta's not going to change the name. And they're kind of saying stuff about the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, they're not really making that big a deal about it. And the difference is, a chief and a brave in Native American society is actually a good thing. You had to be a certain person to become a brave. You had to be a warrior. Or if you're a chief, you had to be the leader. So those were good things. The Redskins was a slur.
Right.
Calling somebody a Redskin was a racial slur. I get why people were upset about that name. That'd be like having, a basketball team calling them the Baltimore N-words.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm all for, it's just hard to please everybody.
Yes.
There's no way that someone can convince me that there was Will Ill when they named the Washington Redskins the Washington Redskins. I don't think anybody sat back and goes, "Hey, you know what? Well, let's make fun of the Indians. Let's call our team the Redskins." I don't think that was the case.
No, I don't think it was intentional. But once you really sat down and thought about it, somebody had to go, maybe that was a bad plan.
Oh, I guarantee they did. I guarantee somebody else online decided, yeah, maybe that wasn't the greatest name we could have came up with. But, it is what it is. It's our team name.
I wish they would just... You know what name I wish they would really pick?
What's that?
Do you remember the Keanu Reeves football movie?
The what movie?
The Keanu Reeves football movie called The Replacements.
Oh, the Keanu Reeves had a movie?
Well, one specifically where he played quarterback.
No, I remember it, but I couldn't tell you what the name of the team was.
It was the Washington Sentinels.
The Sentinels. Oh, there you go.
See, that's perfect. Call them the Washington Sentinels.
What's it called? The Senators.
Right? No.
That'd be great.
No, apparently the big push was actually to name them the Warriors, but that fell through.
Well, yeah, considering we already have a Warriors.
Not in basketball, so it's not in football. You can cross over, whatever.
The Washington Warriors, huh?
That sounds good, don't it? I mean, if you don't go with Congress and be the Washington don't get nothing done.
Right. The Washington Nationals.
Oh, that's even worse.
Right.
That is even worse. Oh my God. All right. So I'm gonna hit you with a really horrible joke, and then we're gonna end it for the day.
Okay.
All right, because I'm in a good dad joke mood. Are you ready?
I'm listening.
What kind of air does a cow breathe?
What's that?
Dairy air.
Dad joke of the day.
Right. All right, guys. I hope y'all feel like you got some sports knowledge. It's Angry Ninja signing out, and J-Mo.
Peace. Everybody have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It's all part of the Ninja Podcast Network with all the shows featuring Ask the Angry Ninja Show, Not a Kid's Game, presented by the Angry Ninja, which is our D&D podcast, the Ninja News and Politics Show, Sports Talk with the Ninja and J-Mo, and our newest podcast, Outrageous Stories with the Ninja, featuring occasional special guests. Great shows, great stuff. If you want to reach any of us, you can go at asktheangryninja@gmail.com. You can reach us on Twitter at cman2342. You can get us on Facebook on the Ask the Angry Ninja Show Facebook page. Any of those places, if you want to support us, we appreciate that. Go to patreon.com/worstjokes. And if you join high enough tier, you'll get a free gift. And we just appreciate any support and feedback. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll holler at you later.